Pat Olson alongside Jim Brovelli as we come your way from downtown Phoenix. The USF Dons on the road here in the greater Phoenix area. They'll take on Grand Canyon today in the Jerry Colangelo Classic. In fact, a number of West Coast Conference teams here for that tournament. And then tomorrow, USF will take on Arizona State over in Tempe. And Jim, before we even get into any of the particulars of the matchups, USF 10-0. Can't get much better, right? We've talked about that a lot.
You sure can't, Pat. They're just having a great pre-conference against a very good schedule. You know, I look back at some of these games. The Nevada game, for example, they had a fight from behind the entire game and ended up winning that game in a thriller. And then the UAB game in Vegas, UAB was a highly talented athletic team. USF had to lead most of the way, but UAB made a great run at the end, and eventually USF hung on and won. And then Fresno State, boy, I'll tell you, Masowski and Tape, two big guys that USF has. Fresno State had two 7-footers. They really stopped them inside in the low block to really help that win, and that was really a hard-fought dogfight all the way through. And then Jamari Bouye, of course, is what he's been doing. The leader of this team really took the game over and put the team on his shoulders, and they just won that game going away.
Expand a bit on what Bouye has done, Jim. The last couple of ball games, he was named the West Coast Conference Player of the Week. All he did against UNLV was score 30, and then against Fresno State, you allude to that game, he had just 2 points at halftime, and then put up 25 in the second half. He really has the ability to take over a ball game in a 3 to 4 minute stretch, doesn't he?
And you really don't know he's doing it. Here's a guy who is one of the best defenders on the team here at USF, just tremendous ball pressure. He's very deceptive. Offensively, he runs the team. He controls the tempo. When it's there for a break, he'll take it. When he wants to slow it up, he'll slow it up and get the best shot. No fancy passes. In fact, on the breakaway transition the last game, he had a two-handed chest pass. He had one teammate ahead and the other teammate flashing over here, and he looked this way and two-handed chest pass in for the layup and good. I mean, simple fundamental plays that he makes in key situations. And I think he only had 2 points in the first half against Fresno State.
Yeah.
And he came back and just dominated the game when they needed it. You know, and he scores when you need a go-to guy at the end of the game.
Yeah, Jim, you've coached at this same kind of circumstance where USF plays a lot of games in a short order of time, and then there's a decent amount of off time for the student athletes to go through final exams. So what challenges did Todd Golden have the last 8, 9, 10 days to keep the team kind of game ready? Because now you play 2 games in 24 hours all of a sudden again.
Yeah, and it's hard to simulate a game. I mean, it really is. You play against yourself, and you never get to that high level of intensity. But what he can do is tweak some things that he saw in those early games and improve in those areas. And defensively, for example, offensively, timing, little things that you can tweak that you can make yourself better. And that's what he takes care of in these days that they had off for practice. And now they come back against some really tough competition before they get into conference.
Let's talk about this Grand Canyon team USF will face later today. It's a 4:30 tip West Coast time. We'll have the broadcast on our flagship station, the KNBR 1050. The Dons played Grand Canyon a year ago in a neutral site game in Las Vegas. They're 9-2, very good team, one of the top offensive rebounding teams in the country. USF will have a challenge here today.
Yeah, Grand Canyon's been a good program. When they made the jump, they used to be Division II. When they made the jump to Division I, Dan Marley, who played for the Suns, was the head coach for a while, and he did a great job. They brought in some really good players, and normally through the years, they've had a lot of big guys, very physical guys, and some good shooters on the perimeter. So I'm assuming that this is the same type of team that they've had in the past. Mm-hmm. They have a new coach, but at the same time, it's a very competitive basketball program.
And then USF turns right around, Jim. They play tomorrow, a true road game in Tempe at Arizona State, and an opportunity to knock off a Pac-12 team on the road.
Yeah, and I think that's really important, Pat, to play a Pac-12 team. Home or away doesn't make any difference. You want those kinds of teams on your schedule so it bumps up your toughness of schedule through the pre-conference. That'll really help you in the long run. So we'll see what happens one at a time. Yeah, that's all you can do.
One at a time. 2 games here in the Phoenix area. The first one coming up this afternoon. It's USF against Grand Canyon. 4:30 for those of you on the West Coast. 4:15 our pregame on KNBR 1050. Along with Jim Brovelli, I'm Pat Olson here on the USF website on usfdons.com.